Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Limbus Company video. Today we're going to be checking out the brand new Facade mechanic that was introduced in the recent update. Which, it is a little janky, I'll say that much, but honestly, I thought it would be a lot worse than it actually is. Like, granted, if you are specifically trying to make it seem as janky as possible, it's not that hard to do. All you need to do is pick two different identities that have very different number of skills and also a very different length of animation time. Specifically, the best way to get to make it seem as janky as possible is to pick the identities that have the longest animation time, and then some of the identities with the shortest animation time, and then smash them together, and it looks so bad. Like, genuinely, one of the worst offenders of this entire thing is absolutely Full Stop Heathcliff, and I do use him in this video later, so you'll see what I mean. But if you pair Full Stop Heathcliff with literally any other identity, since his skill 3 is like literally a 10-second long animation for a single coin, there is pretty much no combination of identity you can put over top of him to make it look good. It will always look absolutely terrible no matter what you do. And there is absolutely no way to fix it because his animation time is just too long. I'm pretty sure he has the longest animation out of like any identity, at least for a single coin anyways. Obviously there's characters like, you know, Indexy Song, who also has a very long animation time with his Furioso, but that's also a 9-coin skill, so that's a completely different issue. I mean, his, like, Indexy Song is also another one because of, like I said, his 9-coin skill. But unlike Full Stop Heathcliff, his issue comes from the fact that, yeah, it's just no other skill comes even remotely close to having nine coins. I mean, the most we have for regular identities is 5 coins, so... And with the exception of coin reuses, Yisong is not one of the characters who has 5 coins on any skill. So no matter what identity you pick, Furiosa will always look at least a little bit awkward, just because of how many coins it has. But yeah, honestly, the mechanic, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'll say that much. It's still not the greatest. It's got a lot of flaws, specifically when picking two different identities that are not very compatible with one another. But for the most part, if you pick two identities that don't have too many unique gimmicks going on in their kit, it tends to look okay, at the very least. But yeah, since most identities have gimmicks, the second you start actually using those gimmicks, it looks weird as all hell. For example, one of the other ones in this specific team that I'm using is Thumb Merceau and also Blade Lineage Merceau. And it's like, if you're using his skill 1 and skill 2, it looks fine. And that's because they share the same amount of coins, and so it's only just a slightly different animation time, but it still looks okay. And even if, you know, they didn't have the same number of coins, I think it would still be okay as well. It would just mean that you have to double up an animation at some point. And as long as you pick the right animation to double up, then it's fine. And honestly, that's definitely one of the biggest issues, especially with Yisong in particular in this team, because if you can see, when I use his skill 2, then Yisong reuses his skill 1 twice, or he reuses his first coin twice, and not his second coin, which is kind of weird that he's coded like that, considering the fact that, you know, for Pequod Yisong in particular, his second coin is the thing that gets reused. So it would look way more natural if his second coin was doubled instead of his first. But they did it backwards for some reason, and it makes it look super janky because of that. So it's just like, honestly, this entire mechanic, it's okay. It needs a lot of work and it needs specifically better design for certain identities, in particular with which coins get reused when you're using another identity that has more coins than they do naturally. But other than that, it's all right. It's definitely not something I'm going to be using particularly often or at all, just because of how, you know, janky it is, and I'd honestly rather just use the original identity, especially because, you know, all of the special effects cannot be actually used. For example, if certain identities, they get powered up when they reach a certain threshold, but those power-ups, the special animations that play when they do their power-ups, they are not a part of the Facade mechanic. So for the Queen of Hatred, for example, she will never be in her corroded state if you're using her as a Facade. And that's a little unfortunate, because if you're using, for example, Manager Don Quixote, then there's a perfect opportunity for her to actually be in the corroded state. And that's when she has enough blood to use her enhanced skills. So there is an opportunity to actually code it in, but it is a little difficult. And honestly, that's definitely in my opinion, the biggest problem with this mechanic as a whole. It's that it's far too general in its application, which it's fine, you know, you need to do that as a base, but if they want to make it perfect, then you do need to tweak it for each individual identity, which is a lot of work, and it's going to take a while. But it would end up looking better. Anyway, that's basically all I want to say. It's an interesting mechanic. It technically works. Needs a lot of tweaks in order to be actually good, but overall, it's functional. And that's all you can really ask for a brand new mechanic. I have nothing else to say about this mechanic, but stay tuned if you want to see full stop Heathcliff jank, because it's really bad. I'll say that much.
이런 제압은 회사에겐 효율적일지는 몰라도
지령에 따라 참가. 충족. 영원한 참으로 인도하지. 영원한 참으로 인도하지.
부탁하죠. 하자.